A very warm welcome to this panel discussion. The topic of the panel today is harnessing customer experience for a game-changing product. Let me just give you a quick introduction to the panel and set the context before I introduce you to all the speakers that we have on this panel. Now, customer service was once seen as an after-sales function, but as industries get more digitized and enabled by artificial intelligence and machine learning, feedback loops are shrinking, and in this new paradigm, customer service has proven to be a driver to customize and enhance product experiences for users as well as partners. Now, how has customer service become automated and relevant to digital products out there? To find out, this and much more, we have with us technology leaders from all across the board. We have Pritesh Jain, Head of Customer Experience at Culfit, Vishal Gupta, Head of Product Management at PhonePe, Dharmesh Gandhi, VP and Head of Product at CardDeco, Abhishek Gupta, Chief Customer Officer at CleverTap, and Nitesh Agarwal, Director Customer Engineering, Google Cloud India. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us today on this panel. I want to begin by talking about the whole paradigm of customer experiences and how both mobile as well as data proliferation has played a major role as far as creating a user base for each of these products. So I want to begin by asking you, Abhishek, what kind of proliferation and how diverse is the database on both mobile as well as other devices for each of your products?
Right. So now that's a good question, Priya. Some time back, I came across a study which said that about 79% of the companies today in the world are competing on the basis of customer experience. I would, based on what I've seen, I would go and in effect say that 100% of the companies today are competing on the basis of customer experience. That's the reality. It's extremely important for brands to provide value to the customer with every single touch point they have with them. And so when you talk about mobile, when you talk about data, what we have seen is over a period of time, especially in the last few quarters, the digital adoption has gone up significantly from an end user standpoint. And there's a lot of data that is coming in across the board. And what has become important is the ability to harness the data and deliver extremely personalized, very pertinent, relevant end user experiences. And that really is the biggest problem out there that we see and that we are solving, at least from our standpoint. And we have seen from an industry standpoint, we have seen this happening across a number of industries, whether it be e-commerce, whether it be fintech, whether it be ride hailing, call it like travel and transportation in general, food tech, ed tech, health tech. So across the board, we're seeing this thing happening where brands, they have a increased desire actually to provide these experiences to the end users. And end users are essentially rewarding the brands by continuing with them longer, by engaging with them, by transacting more with them. So I would say in terms of data proliferation, it's happening a lot. In terms of happening across industry, it's happening a great deal.
Right. I want to bring you in both Vishal and Pritesh to understand the kind of customer experience challenges that you're dealing with and how important this whole concept of giving a good customer experience is out there. So let's begin with you, Vishal.
See, being into the fintech space, you get the advantage of basically developing the ecosystem or be in the forefront of developing the ecosystem. Today, 1 in 5 Indian is using us, pretty much around 320 million registered users and around 135 million active users on a monthly basis. We're processing around 1.7 billion transactions. And when you're talking about such a diverse user base, it is super important to kind of, have the very deep understanding of your various customer cohorts and tailor the experiences basis their needs and give them very, very seamless, flawless experience, especially when it comes to money. The anxiety levels are far higher. And unless and until you are delivering a really, really world-class experience and basically very, very reliable experience, you cannot lead the market. And typically, if you look at, we have been gaining market share primarily on the basis of customer experience being the major differentiator. Our success rates are the best in the industry. And one of the biggest reasons for that is basically we take lots of feedback loop and basically make sure that we are fine-tuning our system and offering the best experience when it comes to dealing with any anxiety around money.
Right, Pritesh, do you want to come in out there?
Yeah, I think like Vishal said, I think category kind of forces us as well to think very deeply about experience. If you think about fitness, right, motivation is the key thing. Anybody who wants to get fit, they need to have very strong motivation, right? And many things will come on the way, stopping you from doing that, right? So when we look at our members' journey with us, right, they can have great experience in a cult center working out, but to get them to the center, we need to enable them. How can, coming there is very easy? How can booking a class could be very easy? All of those have been really key aspect of what Cult has been able to kind of put focus on and get members to use our product, right? And the other challenge is when things do go wrong, right? How do you get them out of that, what you call unhappy flow, right? Again, motivation gets a big, hit if you don't do something there. So you need to, one, proactively kind of prevent it. If not, then kind of reactively manage it. So overall for us, having that platform, which is our app, and then users using it continuously has helped us immensely. And we feel this is one of the biggest reason our users have loved us. We kept them going, working out regularly with us.
Right. Dharmesh, I want to come to you to talk to you a little bit about how the pandemic has thrown up opportunities in the whole customer experience, customer service space, specifically because customer experience and reaching back to customers has become even more challenging amid this pandemic.
True. I think pandemic has definitely been a challenge, right? For Kardec, if you see, it's a very operationally heavy process. Let's say if you take the business where we are looking to sell used cars, right? There are a lot of human touch points involved, right? And it's also not a commodity either where people can just take a look at a car online and just book it, right? Believe me, we've tried it. We weren't able to sell a single car online, completely online, let's call it, right? So for us, customer experience is about, creating the ability or the muscle to deliver these experiences reliably, right? And if I look at, let's say, a used car, right, there are a lot of human anxieties which are involved, right? Am I being ripped off? Am I getting the right deal? Right? If I buy a used car, will I incur any major expense later on? So for us, I think what we've observed is that even if you put all of these data points in front of the customer, online, people still want to be assured by a human about some of these aspects, right? They want to be assured that they are not making a mistake, right? And that, I think what we've learned is, despite what we might have wanted to do ideally, right, there are these human nuances that we have to recognize, right? For instance, we learn quite a bit from, typical used car dealers who are in many cases also promoters, right? What do they do well, right? They know what the customers want because they are themselves involved in selling, right? They know how they respond. They would know every car in detail. They would know how they're priced, right? And we want to do it at scale with people who are on the ground, right? So the idea is, how do we enable great experiences at scale in a reliable manner, day in, day out, right? So the idea is really to bring in data and, give it in the hands of the people who are in front of the customer, or, over the phone, for instance. Of course, we put it up online in the website and the app, etc. But there are these nuances. For instance, if a customer can be told by the sales agent that, hey, this is the service history of the car, or sir, that hey, ye doctor ki gaadi hai, ye achhi condition hai, right? If you're able to bring out these nuances in front of the customer, it builds a lot of trust. But how do you enable, right? You have to understand these insights at a very ground level, and then do this at scale. Bring out these data points in front of the customer, right? Highlight them. It's almost like there is a personalized touch that you're able to provide, but you're able to equip every single person who is in touch with the customer to be able to do it. And what we have seen is, in a high involvement buying process like cars, this is what works the best, right? Equipping the guys who are in front of the customer in the right manner. There are a couple of other things that probably I'll also call out, that what are the critical aspects that we have seen which has helped in providing a great customer experience. There's a very good quote by Jeff Bezos: good intentions don't work, mechanisms do. So while everyone wants to do the right thing, but let's be fair to the guy who is, let's say, on the ground. He doesn't have the time to demonstrate complete ownership, right? You have to create the right mechanisms so that they're able to do it, right? So can you simplify the life of the guy? Simplify in terms of, hey, this is the task you have to do. Just go ahead and do this, and you are fine, right? Just make that person's life simple, create the right mechanisms, and then you'll be able to deliver the right experiences day in and day out. So really using product as a tool in the whole operational process.
Right. Mitesh, I want to come to you to understand how you've seen the pandemic accelerate innovation on cloud in India. So if you could run us through what it really means and how innovation is really panning out in the whole cloud space.
Thanks, Priya, and thank you to all the panelists. First of all, I hope everybody is doing well. Priya, you asked a very pertinent question, but a question that I think has been asked so many times before, right? What has the pandemic done? I think for the first time, the word transformation makes sense because that's what the pandemic finally has moved it from being jargon for the last few years to truly everybody experiencing transformation. And when I say experiencing transformation, I mean right from all the panelists out here in their companies to users consuming what all of you do a wonderful job of, as well as the expectations have truly transformed as well. Right? The way fintech expectations or the way you buy a car expectations or the way you buy insurance, or if you're a retailer, you're a manufacturing company, does not matter. Everybody has got disrupted. That's true. So two words that finally moved from being jargon to reality, I think, was disruption and transformation. So very, very clearly, the pandemic allowed technologists like us to start looking at that. Also, what it meant was if you started looking at the way we started developing applications to serve some of these, all of our customers, whether it's in the D2C space or in the B2B space, or if we were a government, it didn't matter, right? We had to start developing very, very differently, and we had to start developing remotely too, which is very unique, right? Now you had to start collaborating with people working from home with each other as opposed to a cool, place where we all gave them to work and so on. So software development itself, I think, transformed very, very differently. The other part, which I think was a common thing that everybody alluded to, was, gave me a very important point to talk about, which is people spoke about data and insights. What data and insights data was always there, right? And insights, people used a lot of technology around it. Of course, we as Google helped a lot around that. But what it made everybody realize, if you were, a fintech or ad tech or an insure tech player or a health tech player or a player of trying to sell cars or insurance and so on, is that what mattered was relevance. So if you weren't relevant, if you weren't getting the eyeballs, right, it didn't matter what technology you used. And one of the key technology areas that came up because of COVID especially was that this has become an age of assistance. So everything that you wanted to do on your app, for example, had to meet your consumer needs in the age of assistance, right? And therefore, people expected more than information and answers. They really expected, your app to be able to provide relevant assistance to them at the right time, the way they wanted it. Now, whether that assistance was based on voice, people were used to calling a call center in the past, right? So you had to change the way you were assisting them on your app. Right. So very, very different bunch of things that started happening. And I believe that, truly now it's become par for the course to provide experience. And I think very rightly, all the panelists said that it's going to be about how you differentiate experience, but more importantly, it's going to be about how relevant are you to the user base that you're serving. Because you could have a very differentiated experience, but not be relevant to the user base that you're talking. So I think both differentiation and relevance using technology, data, and insights is going to be, I think, par for the course in the current era as well as we move forward.
Right. Abhishek and Pritesh, I want to bring you into the conversation or insights from customers to build core products out there. Any learnings that you've used to strengthen or build your core product offering? Pritesh, if you could start with you.
Absolutely. So I think, when you look at a consumer product like, fitness, right, and the way Cult has been kind of trying to build it, people use it regularly. And when when you are using a product regularly, you want to have a point of view, you want to have a preference. You also try to think about what will work for you next, right? So from start, what we did is we kind of created a very tightly knit feedback loop with the users. After every class, you end up sharing what you liked, what you did not like with us, right? And that gave us direct insights from that very moment. So every day, once the class gets over, we get to know how was the class. This is like a very huge audit running on your system, telling you good, bad, ugly about your experience in the center. And imagine this being done in hundreds of locations across the country real time, right? Now, this powered a lot of what we built for our users going forward, right? Now, I'll take one specific example, right? Rains disrupt a lot of our operations. Members, of course, traffic play havoc. Members probably would cancel their plans, or they would turn up late, which could impact their workout experience, right? Now, once we kind of identified that a lot of our members actually were facing challenge with this kind of situation, and they needed some help from us, we essentially went on to understand how could we predict, or at least get a sense of that the rains are going to create impact in this workout. And then we change our operational mode a bit, right? Inform the members that you might be late, you might want to cancel this class, or if you're running late, we might not be able to provide you a great experience, so accordingly plan, etc., right? And these have helped members do better. And this is just one example. We launched a wait list very similar to probably what you've been seeing in railways, and that helped us cover up for people getting late entries to class, or other late admission to class when they were not able to book it in the time, right? All of these came in from feedback. Luckily for us, we are able to put all of these feedback to our product teams almost instantaneously. There are analysts kind of churning around insights, and then we take them up as our OKRs to kind of built in. This is one thing which has worked. The other thing which happened in this process, right? It's like a fuel. So once you start acting on feedback, your customers are extremely happy giving you more and more of it, right? So for us, from a very small scale about 5 years back to now, the amount of feedback we keep getting is continuously increased, and that has made even more richer insights available to all the team members back in the tech and product team. So I think we feel very proud about building this loop and using it on a daily basis.
Abhishek?
So for us, it's like when we think about the insights from customers, it's actually a two-part problem. One is the insights that we get from our customers from a business standpoint, the customers who use a product, and then the insights that come from the end users, who are essentially the consumers of the brands who basically kind of use a product. So what you've seen is a little bit of shift happening on both dimensions. From a customer standpoint, the B2B customers that we serve, we have seen like some of the customers have kind of scaled rapidly. They've grown in a very short span of time. They've grown rapidly, which meant that we had to think differently. We had to think about scale front and center, and not just in terms of feature functionality. So just to give you an example, so a product enables brands to provide not only personalized, but individualized experiences, which is like, to take an example, like let's take an e-commerce example, like two people fundamentally could be looking at buying a product from an e-commerce company, but one person might be looking at a shoe, other person could be looking at a shirt, for example. Now, these are two different things. If you were to target users with communication which is not relevant or different from what they're looking for, it wouldn't really resonate with them. So we saw all of that, and we saw that now increasingly there's a need to serve at scale. And so we started building capabilities in a product that allowed brands to kind of, let's say, the examples of cars, like there's a large number of listings that you have, but ability to take those listings and provide every single user who's looking to buy a car a personalized experience, like, hey, here is the listing that's most relevant for you. So we invested a lot in terms of our artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities during the course of pandemic to build product and capabilities that allow brands to provide these individualized experiences at scale. Now, also, we have seen like the order of problem, like from an end user standpoint, if you look at it, now the end users are also becoming more sophisticated. They are looking for experiences which are they are holistic in nature. So the word omni-channel, for example, it was being used previously in terms of, okay, what do you like? Perhaps for the first time, it is now becoming a lot more relevant. And omni-channel, when I say, it's not just in terms of the channels that we use, SMS messaging or push and whatnot. It's also about the in-app experience. So for example, if I'm getting a communication from a brand via push, via SMS, I want a consistent communication to be available even on my user interface, for example. So we learned a great deal from the end users. And what we've done over the course of this last 6 quarters is to build product capabilities that allow users to have a simplified but yet compelling experience across the board, no matter what touch point they have from the brand.
Right. I want to bring in Vishal as well as Dharmesh on this question in terms of feedback loops. Are feedback loops really shrinking? And if yes, how do you think feedback loops should be optimized to ensure more efficient conversations between the end user and the company? So if you could begin, Vishal.
See, typically, if you look at when you're processing such a large volume, there's tons of data which is being generated real time. And typically, if you think about the feedback loop, which were earlier trying to process the data and understand the customer VOC, right, which used to take some more time, is pretty much real time. So I'll give you one example. For example, if one of the customers' bank is going down, right, based on the volume, we actually know in few minutes, if not few seconds, actually few seconds. And immediately we decide to kind of figure out the right optimal experience around that particular transaction to make sure that customer is not facing an unreliable experience. Failing a transaction is better than basically giving a transaction or processing a transaction which may go in luck. And that's where basically, if you think about the feedback loop time are actually acting very, very real time. On a similar basis, if you think about when customers are interacting with you, either on a product journey, which is towards a particular transaction funnel, or even towards a particular assistance requirement. Again, the data is flowing very, very real time, and we have built a significant amount of technology to be able to, feed the data and the rules real time, right? Using pre-computed heuristics, using MLs and AI, and also basically the rules, business rules around it, to make sure that you're always solving for customer. And end of the day, it's all boils down to DNA also, right? That do you have the right DNA in terms of customer first? While it's a cliche, but it matters a lot.
Right, Dharmesh?
Yeah, I think customer feedback loops are, critical, but I think for a business like ours, where it's a combination of online and offline, it becomes a lot more tricky and difficult to sort of firstly capture the customer feedback. So not all the conversations are, let's say, happening online, right? Most of the conversations are actually happening offline, right? So, and I think for us the most critical aspect is to ensure firstly that are we able to bring all of this conversation in a monitored format. Are we choosing the right mode of communication with the customer? Try to get this data as structured as possible, right? For instance, earlier most companies used to sort of call up customers. What we have seen is people don't like to be, let's say, called at odd hours, right? Or when they're, let's say, in the middle of a meeting, right? So in fact, it turns out to be a good opportunity, saying, hey, I think what we have seen is most people prefer to be contacted over WhatsApp, because that's something that they will be probably using day in, day out. So, hey, let's reach out to them over WhatsApp. Right? So now, that becomes a very good opportunity for us, because now we are able to keep track of actually what's being discussed over over that channel, and at least have a great feedback loop saying, hey, I think if this is an interaction that didn't work out, let's understand what actually happened, instead of let's say an earlier verbal conversation where it's only a function of who said what. So I think has helped us let's say shrink this feedback loop, but more importantly, make it a lot more accurate for us to be able to monitor what's actually happening on the ground. So I think I just wanted to call out that I think is a very big challenge that we are trying to solve for. That as we sort of scale out this process, how do we ensure that each and every person on the ground is acting with the same level of customer obsession that we want them to, right? And how do we capture the nuances that are going in terms of the interactions which are there. Hey, how do you figure out if there is a guy who is actually doing pretty well in terms of, let's say, selling the cars, or is getting great customer feedback? What is he doing right? It's very important for us to understand what is he doing right. So we can only do that once if we are capturing that data. Right, that is what we can then replicate across all folks who are interacting with these customers. Right, as I said, what we saw that if a lot of people don't understand, hey, this what is the variant of this car? I don't understand. VDI XYZ. Who the hell knows? Suddenly we realize that, hey, if I just tell them that, hey, this is ye sunroof wali gaadi hai, then I suddenly realize, hey, this is the car that this guy is talking about. Now, can we incorporate that into our database? Right, that insight can only come, in a way, sort of through, let's say, by you yourself talking to customers and getting this, and then probably trying to scale it. So I think for us, that's sort of the most important feedback loop, capturing these conversations as soon as possible. I think we're still at a stage where we've not automated it. I think we're not doing billions of cars. We're still doing cars in a manageable figure. So I think for us, the most important aspect right now is to capture the customer feedback in the
Right. That brings me to the point of automation, which Dharmesh just mentioned, and I want to bring you in, Mitesh, to understand how customer experience itself can become more efficient and automated via the cloud. So if you could share your perspective.
Yeah, thank you. I think there have been some great views out here. Essentially, if I can crystallize it down to 4 things that I would say would help. Automation is just one tool that will help you, do better with your customer experience. But essentially, what everybody, I think, on the panel wants to do is, how do you get significantly smarter? And what the result of that is, what are people looking for? Whether it's on their website, whether it's on a physical store, whether it's on their app, you essentially want to be able to make, decisions faster and smarter. The second part is that, you want to be able to, obviously get the freedom to adapt as things change. It's highly likely that maybe in a year's time, or maybe even faster, people may go back to a phygital format. So how do you go and adapt back, to that? And does your tech stack allow you to get that format? The third thing is, how do we get people internally as well as your customers to connect better with you? And a lot of that around, whether it was conversational AI, whether it was contact center, how do you get the feedback loop back? When customers are giving you a particular feedback, how do you incorporate it into a product? The third part, as part of it, it's also about capturing intent. One of the things that we found here at Google and Google Cloud is that I think it doesn't matter if you had demographics. People focused a lot on demographics pre-COVID, right? That if it is in Maharashtra, in this village, if they were HNI, I should sell this, right? What it has moved to now is intent, right? So that intent eventually is captured using first party, second party, and third party data, right? And you've got to be able to process this really, really fast. And finally, how do you protect yourselves, right? Especially with the pandemic, one of the things that has happened is the whole sovereignty, security, privacy, consent has become front and center of everything that you do. Now, essentially, why I say all of this is the way we built, Google and Google Cloud is essentially these 4 areas: becoming smarter, having the freedom, having collaboration, and having the most trusted cloud. So we call it really overall, we call Google Cloud is a transformation cloud, which is around being smarter using our data cloud capabilities, having the freedom to develop and deploy the way you want. We consider ourselves the most open cloud. If you look at collaboration, whether with our workspace tools or the interface that we are having today with Google Meet, and protection, we take it front and center of everything that we do. So essentially, when you talk about automation, a lot of that people, we talk about AI and we talk about ML. What we've done here at Google is we made it part of everything that we do. So our cloud components are intelligently connected, right? Machine learning algorithms are by default. We by default in Google run everything on a container, right? So there is no legacy VM. All of Google runs on containers, right? So all of that has meant that, we have very limited tech debt, which means we are able to, very quickly adapt to the customer experiences that will evolve. I'm fairly certain that customer experiences that were valid 2 years back have already become far more evolved. And when you look at it next year, it'll be very different. Now, whether you're selling a car, whether you're selling a fintech product, whether you're selling any other product, right? It's going to be very, very different in a year from now. I think that's one thing we can all agree that, the pandemic has taught us. The technology is going to be very different. Customer expectations are going to be very different. So we need to have a far more adaptable experience, but in a very, very secure, fashion. And I think the Google Cloud and all the clouds rather would help you enable yourself faster to adapt to that.
Right, I'm going to come to closing comments from you. Vishal, to begin with you, I want to talk to you a little bit about what the future of customer experience will look like. 2 key points, according to you, that will shape customer experience and feedback going forward.
I think one of the most important aspect is right communication at the right point in time. The context is super critical. And with technology advancing, I think context is actually really real-time available, which means you can build very, very different interfaces and different interactions for your consumers to work with. And that's going to be super, super important. The second one is, again, in terms of, I think as Mitesh called out, adapting your technology to new trends and making sure that the new use cases, what you're building, are very well catered to. Let's say, for example, solving for a payments requires a very, very different kind of experience vis-a-vis if you have to solve for, let's say, an investment option or an insurance solution or any other solution in terms of managing money or growing their money. The concerns and the requirement from the customer sides are very different. So do you understand your customer? Do you understand the journey they are in? And do you understand the context they are in? If you can stitch all of them together through technology, I think that's where the magic lies.
Right. Abhishek, 2 points from you.
Right. I think Vishal actually said everything that I wanted to say in a way. The space we are in and what we're trying to enable, right? It's really, really about that. Like, what customers are looking for is to be delighted by brands. Merely meeting expectations is no more acceptable to the consumers. And in that process, understanding the customers, understanding their context, it's super critical. Like customers are constantly saying, you need to know me to serve me. Now, the problem is the brands know the users, but the ability to serve them in that moment is sort of limiting in a lot of cases. And that is the gap that has to be bridged, which is in the moment, in the context of the customer, bridging the gap and then fundamentally meeting the needs. That's one thing. The second thing is, when it comes to customer experience, there is one thing that we have seen, which is in terms of the feedback from the customer. Now, whenever we are soliciting feedback from the customer, like, in fact, even before that, when we talk about feedback, the idea is always, okay, feedback that is coming in from the customers, something that someone writes in a form and we receive it. And all of us who know about service, we know that when you do that, you receive that feedback only in a small percentage of cases. But what is happening today increasingly is customers are leaving the digital footprints all across. Like when they come and utilize an application, there is so much of data that is available, which brands are able to harness and then provide an unparalleled experience to the users. To give an example, let's say, for example, if someone is uninstalling an app, you can go back in time and see what are the things that led to the uninstall of the app. If someone is engaging with a brand, you can go back in time and see what are the things that did. And you can stitch it all together very neatly to ensure that the customers are well served. So in terms of summarizing it, I would say there is a lot of data that is available with the brands. What is really, really important at this point is ability to utilize it and utilize it in the moment when the customers want you to utilize it.
Right, Pritesh and Dharmesh, 2 key points that you all will be implementing in the future to enable better customer experience and feedback. It could be on the infrastructure front, on the tech front. Pritesh, if you could start off with yours.
Absolutely. I think Vishal and Abhishek kind of gave the simple idea to me as well. I think context aware, understanding of the user, personalize is one, individualize is like the next level, and that is very critical. How do we get there is pretty important for us, and we are actively working on that. I think agility bases this understanding to provide that solution to the customer, whatever your product offering is, whatever you want them to do in that right moment is going to define the success of the product in the long run. So that for sure is a very critical investment for us, understanding and then reacting to it for the end user. I think second, probably I think Dharmesh might also relate to it. I think we also have a lot of offline footprint, right? So a lot of interactions happening outside the app, outside the digital world. How do we streamline this and both capturing the feedback as well as making the same insight which we captured available to the front end team, the staff at the center or outside, right? Then they using that to provide the delight will be the other problem to work on. It's even more trickier than the technology which is helping us digital world, but looking forward to kind of working on those two challenges.
Right. Dharmesh, very quickly, 2 points from your side.
Yeah, the way I see it is, I think it's the trick behind delivering great customer experience is probably to seamlessly integrate the product and the process part, and also to ensure that the organization is sort of streamlined well. Right. For instance, if there's are the folks who are working towards a certain customer goal, are they incentivized to do the right thing, and are we able to measure it in a manner, right? For instance, if you've given a certain task to a particular executive, how are you going to ensure that that person is suitably incentivized to do that task, right? You cannot merely rely on the person's good intention to get it done, right? Some of these just seem obvious, but I think as we deal with people, we understand that while we are taking all of this customer feedback, it's very important to be very intentional about it, right? So if you've given a certain task, there's a customer interface, are you taking the feedback, and is that feedback linked back to the incentive of the guy, saying, hey, what is the corresponding turnaround time, what is did that guy have a great experience, right? These seem obvious, but you have to probably ensure that it is every part of the organization is moving in the same direction. You cannot have one set of guys dreaming up things and another part of the organization not completely aligned. I think if the product team, along with the operations team, customer experience team, etc., all of these are aligned both from a process perspective as well as a product perspective, right? And now everyone is sort of rowing in the same direction. I think then we'll be able to deliver a great experience.
Right, Mitesh, if you could sum it up for us in terms of what the future of customer experience lies and how cloud can play a very important role in making this experience even more efficient and robust. Please share your perspective.
Thank you, Priya, and Vishal, Abhishek, Pritesh, and Dharmesh, like some amazing learning for me as well. So thank you for that. I'm going to kind of take the best of what all of you said and kind of stitch it together. In my mind, I think in the last few years, customer experience itself has become a function. I remember that a few years back, it used to be marketing was responsible for customer experience, and that clearly has changed. But what has also happened is that we've created organizational silos because of customer experience. That's what I think Dharmesh alluded to, in some sense. Having said that, it's unlikely that we're going to suddenly have someone acquiring customers also service them, because it's just simply not possible. So I started thinking, as all of you started saying, that what's going to stitch all of these functions together, because you will tend to fall into the trap of creating silos, because you simply have to have people managing that. You need to have leadership managing that, and so on. So I started thinking about what kind of glues everything, and clearly data was at the center of that. So if we could, it's clear that when you're acquiring customers, and Abhishek gave a great example of what happens when a customer deletes the app. There's so much of in-app information that is available, right? And Vishal brought in this great point around, what happens with all the data that is there, right? So in my mind, data, but handling it securely is going to be super important. And I think, to borrow from what Pritesh said, the CX programs of the future will essentially be holistic. And they will be holistic only when they are predictive, as what Vishal said. They are very context aware, right? They're precise, and most importantly, they're tied to the business outcome of any business that you're part of, right? And increasingly, considering everyone wants to have a super app strategy in some form or the other, right? Clearly, that's going to become even more prominent, because if you were a fintech business wanting to get into something else, if you couldn't share data, and there could be regulatory things, which is why I brought in the whole privacy, security, consent angle. It's super important that you create your data structures in a way, that you can share information in a secure and governance manner. And finally, the way cloud is really going to help you do this is very simple. It's going to allow you to become smarter, as I said, and it's going to allow you to do this in a faster, simpler way. And clearly, customer experiences are going to be copied. If there are 20 players in the same fintech space, right, it's going to be the customer experience that's going to be differentiated, that's going to win. Right? And what cloud's going to do is get you there faster and smarter. Right. So that's what I had to say, and I learned a lot. Thank you so much, Priya, for anchoring such a wonderful session as well.
All right. On that note, many thanks for being a part of this very insightful panel discussion, and we'll be looking forward to many more going forward. Thank you so much for your time.